Hey guys, welcome to my 3D modeling tutorial. In this video, I'll show you step by step how to create a pump bottle cosmetic product in Blender. Let's get started. What you do first is open your PureRef software and then bring in your reference images. Next, create a new cube, then scale it on the Z-axis. You can switch to edit mode and move it up a bit. By looking at our reference image, we can see that we need to insert this top face here. To do that, we press I and then E to extrude towards the Z direction. Insert once again to get the circular opening of the bottle. As you can see, instead of a circle, we got a square, and 4 edges cannot form a circle. So what we will do is add in more loop cuts. This will help us to turn the square to a circle. To do that, we'll press Ctrl R to add 5 loop cuts to each side. Then select the square with all the new faces added. Right click and choose Loop Tools Circle. Scale it in a bit according to the reference image. We can add a subdivision modifier to check how it looks. We can see that it gets deformed. That's because we've not added loop cuts to the horizontal parts of the bottle. First, let's extrude the circle towards the Z direction and then delete the faces. Then you can add your loop cuts. You can turn off your modifier for now so we can see exactly what we are doing. We can add multiple loop cuts here as well. Keep adding the loop cuts to the right edges. We can turn the subdivision modifier on again to check, and we can see that it looks much better. We can switch to edit mode and then add a loop cut here to make the bottom part less rounder. Then shade smooth, and you can see that we have a nice body. Next, switch to edit mode, select the upper edges and then Shift D to duplicate it. Click on right mouse button, then press P and then separate by selection. Next, we select the new edge created and then scale it a bit. We can see that it's scaling from the wrong place. What we'll do is change the origin from that place to the center of the circle. Now we can now scale it. We can increase the height of the mouth of the bottle, just as you can see on the reference image. Then select the second circle, move it up, switch to edit mode and then extrude downwards. Select the edges, then extrude and scale. Add a loop cut here and here, then shade smooth. Next, switch to edit mode, select the inner edge and then Shift D to duplicate it. Then P to separate by selection. Select the new circle, scale in a bit and then move it down. Extrude upwards to get the basic shape of the pump head. Extrude and scale. Extrude once again and scale. Then grid fill. Next, switch to the top view so that we can see where the opening will come out from. We can select these two faces. Add a loop cut and then drag it up. Select both faces and extrude towards the Y direction. Right click, select Loop Tools, Flatten. Then scale in a bit. Insert both faces like this. We can see that it's not inserting properly. That's because we've not applied all transforms. To do that, switch to Object Mode and then press Ctrl A and apply all transforms. Now it should insert properly. Next, press Alt E to extrude along normals. Press Alt Z to see through the object and then adjust it to taste. We can turn on the subdivision surface modifier to see how it looks. We can see that it looks nothing like the reference image. The reference image has more like a boxy shape and this one is more rounded. So what we can do is switch to edit mode and then add loop cuts. Now turn the modifier on again and you can see that it's a bit better now. Though it's a bit rounded and it's a bit weird at the back. To fix that, we will need to add more loop cuts. To do that, switch back to edit mode and then add the loop cuts to the left and the right side. You can turn on the modifier to check how it looks now. We can see that there is a whole lot of pinching in the front and also at the back. This was caused by the loop cuts we added on the left and the right side. It went all around the object and we only need it on the opening at the front. To fix this, we need to find a way to remove the unwanted edges that goes around the object. To do this, we add a loop cut here and drag it to the edge. Add another loop cut here and drag it to the edge. Add the third loop cut and drag it to the edge. You can turn on the modifier to check once again. You can see that it got worse, but don't worry about that, we'll fix it right now. Let's add another loop cut to this top. Switch to Vertex Select. Select these three vertices and then merge at center. Switch to Edge Select, then select this edge and dissolve. Select the other two edges and dissolve as well. Then we can do the same for the other side. You can switch on the modifier again to check. And we can see that this top part looks better now. It looks more like the reference image. Now we are left with the bottom part. We'll follow the same process as before. Add two loop cuts here. Select the three vertices and merge at center. Then dissolve the unwanted edges. You can do the same for the other side as well. Now let's turn on the modifier again. And now we can see that the geometry is perfect. We can see that there is no single pinching all around the object. Now we are left to the front part of the opening. All we'll do is add some more loop cuts. You can turn on the modifier and as you can see, we have our pump head completed. Next, we'll model the lid as well. Switch to edit mode. Select this edge. Shift D. And then P to separate by selection. Move the edge up a bit and then extrude towards the Z direction. Scale it in a bit so as to match the reference image. Extrude and scale in. Extrude and scale in one more time. Turn the square into a circle using loop tools and then grid fill it. Add loop cuts at the top to define the shape. And then add multiple loop cuts to it. Shade smooth, and then we have our lid. Next, we'll add materials to the bottle. Click on the Material Properties tab. Add new material, and then rename it. We can turn on the material preview mode so that we can see the material we are applying. Change your color here to your desired color. Reduce the roughness a bit. Next, select the second object and then add a new material. Replace the new material with the previous one since they are the same material. Select the pump head as well and add a new material to it. Rename it and change the color. The next thing we will do is add our label. Add image as a plane. Select your image and then import it. Move it in the Y direction and then RX90 to rotate it in the X direction. We can see that the label is inverted. That's because we are viewing it from the back. To fix that, we have to rotate 180 degrees in the Z direction. And we can see that it's correct now. Next, scale the label up to align with the front of the bottle. And then with the label selected, add a shrink wrap modifier. Select the eyedropper tool and then click on the bottle. Then the label sticks on the bottle. Offset it by 0.01 and then we can see the label. We can turn on the lid and then add materials to it. And then add the same color we added for the body. We can see that the pump head and the closure is a bit more reflective than the body, so we can reduce the reflections there. Next, we turn on the rendered view mode. Slide up the timeline window and change it to shader editor. Change it from object to world. Then click on the background node and press Ctrl T. Click open and select an HDRI image to be used for the background. We need only the lighting here. To remove the background, we'll go to the render tab, click on film, and then checkmark the transparent, and we have the background removed. Select the object and move it in the Z direction. Add a plane, scale it up, switch to edit mode and then extrude the back edge towards the Z direction. Bevel the middle edge to give it a rounded shape. Then lock the plane. Select the bottle, then duplicate it twice. Then arrange it to suit your view. After setting it up, bring in your camera and then move it up towards the Z axis and then towards the Y axis. And press numpad O to switch to the camera view. We can click on view and checkmark camera to view. This will help us to move freely in the camera view mode. Now you can adjust your bottles to fit in well in the camera. Next, select your plane and then shade smooth. Add a new material to the plane and then change the color to a lighter version of the bottle color. Then finally, go to the render tab and then change it from Eevee to cycles. Then we have our render. Thank you so much for sticking with me till the end. If you found this tutorial helpful, please give it a like and subscribe for more content like this. I'll see you in the next tutorial.